Imagine trying to survive for just 1 week completely alone in the middle of the open ocean. Most people wouldn't last a few days. Now consider the story of a man who lived out there for over a year. In November 2012, José Salvador Alvarenga, an experienced fisherman, headed out from the coast of Mexico with a young partner. The plan was to be back on shore in under 24 hours, working off vessels like these, small, open to the elements, and built for quick coastal runs. Shortly after they hit the water, a Pacific storm rolled in. The heavy, volatile chop swamped their outboard motor, killing the engine. Within minutes, their radio shorted out. With no power and no way to call for help, the storm blew them entirely off their coastal route and into the deep ocean. Within days, the meager rations they packed for a single afternoon of fishing hit absolute zero. The two men were now trapped in a hostile, empty environment. The simple act of staying alive was suddenly stripped down to its most basic biological components: finding water, finding fuel, and keeping the mind from breaking. Even in the middle of a massive ocean, a survivor's most immediate threat isn't drowning, it's thirst. You are surrounded by millions of gallons of water, yet drinking even a few mouthfuls of the toxic salt water will quickly shut down your organs. To get fresh water, Alvarenga relied on the exact storms that stranded them. He turned the hull of the skiff into a makeshift catchment system, hoarding pure rainwater whenever an ocean squall passed overhead. But the open ocean is unpredictable. Weeks can pass without a single drop of rain. During these long, blistering droughts, extreme dehydration pushed his internal systems to the very edge of failure. Survival was dictated entirely by shifting weather patterns, a torturous cycle of temporary relief followed by lethal droughts that limited the energy he could spend on anything else. Once the thirst was managed, the body's next demand was fuel, a nearly impossible task in the open ocean without any gear. Alvarenga adapted by leaning over the edge of the boat, waiting in absolute stillness, and plunging his bare hands directly into the dark water to snatch fish swimming near the hull. As his skills sharpened, he targeted larger prey. When sea turtles swam close to investigate the shadow of the boat, he wrestled them directly out of the water and over the gunwales. He scooped whatever the current pushed into his path, plucking translucent jellyfish straight from the water and swallowing them whole. He even managed to capture roosting seabirds that made the mistake of landing on the drifting skiff for a brief rest. To maximize his survival chances, every catch was consumed completely raw. Without the means to cook, eating raw flesh was the only way to ensure he lost none of the essential fats, proteins, or trace moisture. He had to shed every ounce of modern dietary conditioning, stripping his behavior down to that of a purely opportunistic predator. As weeks bled into months, the physical routine of catching fish and water began to take a back seat to a much heavier burden. Eventually, his younger partner's body gave out. He succumbed to the compounding weakness and starvation, leaving Alvarenga entirely alone. Look at this map. There were no passing ships, no Coast Guard patrols, just an unbroken 360-degree horizon of water separating him from the rest of the world. In the face of that vastness, Alvarenga stopped waiting to be rescued. He treated staying alive as a deliberate daily job, breaking his existence down into small, actionable tasks to maintain a grip on his sanity. Rainwater and raw fish kept his organs running, but it was this active refusal to surrender to the void that prevented a fatal mental collapse. By January 2014, 14 months had passed since the engine died off the coast of Mexico. Then land finally appeared. His battered skiff scraped against a reef and washed ashore on a tiny coral atoll in the remote Marshall Islands. Had the currents shifted even a fraction of a degree, he would have drifted straight past it. This line tracks the scale of his journey. The ocean currents had pushed him completely across the Pacific, covering more than 10,000 kilometers. The local residents were stunned. A man with wild, matted hair and a massive beard stumbled out of the ocean, his muscles so depleted he could barely support his own weight. After evaluating his condition, medical teams confirmed the timeline. José Salvador Alvarenga had survived 438 days lost at sea. His ordeal stands as one of the longest survival stories in history. It proves that when physical resourcefulness is backed by an unyielding mental resolve, the human body is capable of enduring the impossible. Do you think you could survive those initial days alone in the deep ocean? Let us know in the comments, and be sure to subscribe to Unseen Things for more true stories.